what's it gonna be? You're trapped in a new world of Street Fighter 3. Make your first move, so what's it gonna be? You're trapped in a new world of Street Fighter 3. The third chapter, so what's it gonna be? The third strike, y'all, is Street Fighter 3.
Hey guys, welcome to another video. I know it's been a while since the last Why You Should Play, but this one needs no introduction. This is one of the most greatest fighting games of all time. This is, as you see on the screen, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. This is, like I said, a game that needs no introduction. As you see on the screen, you know, moment 32, moment 38, moment 37, whatever moments you want to think of, Third Strike was making it. We're just going to go over quick synopsis of the series and just talk about all the fun stuff and what makes this game, I say, one of the best Street Fighters, hands down, and why is it so popular now. Because, as we're going to find out in the future, it wasn't that popular, and was actually about to be the last Street Fighter we've ever gotten. So, without further ado, let's hop straight into the video. So, we're looking at the timeline. Street Fighter 3 came out, or Third Strike, came out around 1999. This is around the time the Dreamcast was also pretty big. They ended up moving a lot of like arcade games over to the Dreamcast, and Street Fighter 3 was one of them. Second Impact was the first one that made it onto the Dreamcast. They have the regular Street Fighter 3, Second Impact, and then they made Third Strike. It was released to, you can say, like, really good acclaim. Metacritic gave it an 84 on the Dreamcast out of 100. It was well received, but what most people were saying at the time is that it just wasn't innovative enough. It was just another Street Fighter game. Like, the parry system's interesting, but it's not anything new that others weren't doing. So by the time Third Strike came out, it was pretty interesting to see how the game wasn't too well received when it first came out. During this time, they were adding characters such as Chun-Li, Makoto, Q, and Remy. These were the new additions to Third Strike. And they, honestly, in my opinion, I think this was like the best character designs outside of Chun-Li, because she's just a returning of the World Warriors. So seeing her return was pretty cool. You know, we have pretty much the majority of the World Warriors cast. So it was pretty cool to see. 12 was an interesting character, just poorly executed. Makoto, great character. Q, really good character. Remy, nice replacement, I guess you could say, for the all-American men that Sonic Boom. But the game didn't do so hot and kind of sat in purgatory for a while. But they later came out with the online edition, which I'll probably do a separate video on, because that's like a whole different game. But right now we're just talking about the arcade version of Third Strike. But I say that the online edition is, in my opinion, by far the best way to experience Third Strike. Not only does it have different modes, different parry modes to help you understand parrying, what situations to parry in, it really gives you like the end-all be-all content for that game. So if we get this video to maybe like 100 likes, I'll probably do a video on, not probably, I will do a video on Third Strike's online edition, which is made by GGPO, fun fact, who also helped make Fightcade. So if you're very familiar with Fightcade, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the online version of, or online edition of Third Strike. So the game was well received to okay numbers. It did above average. People generally liked the game, but just wished it did more around this time. And there was supposed to be another game that came out, and I'll probably talk about that in another video, that kind of links a lot of these two things together. And if you've seen my Alex short, you definitely know that Alex was supposed to be the, you know, poster boy for the third Street Fighter series, but it kind of fell through because no one really liked him too much. So he still is a fan favorite to this day, but not really too much. But the second part of what I believe makes a good game is its soundtrack. And Third Strike soundtrack is by far super like early 2000s, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's super good. Like, being able to capture rap like that and being able to capture that city aspect and put that into a game to help revitalize the characters, and everyone's soundtrack has like a bit of their culture in it, which is really cool. You have Elena, who's African, who has a lot of African drums in hers. You have Ryu, Makoto, and Ibuki, who are Japanese and all have different Japanese instruments. Alex and Ken have a very, you know, hip-hop-esque stage So and their music. So it's really cool to see how they really cared about not only the visuals of the game, but at the same time how the soundtrack, visuals, and character designs all fit together. If you've seen my Why You Should Play Second Impact, there was stage transitioning, but this was actually taken out of the game. So it was actually kind of suckish that they didn't keep going with it. We didn't see it till 2 iterations later of stage transitioning within Street Fighter, but it was cool to see them at least try. And I think that was like the coolest part of Third Strike's history, is seeing how they tried with every character, tried to give every character, you know, their own viewpoint and how they look. And you know what, since we're talking about characters, let's hop right into that. So we're going to speak about the characters, and I'm going to mix kind of like the arcade in with it as well. So just to go over the characters, they're very different than what we were used to, I guess you could say, within the Street Fighter realm, going from Street Fighter 1, I mean, we don't count Street Fighter 1, but going from Street Fighter 1 to Street Fighter 3, we had a lot of changes. A lot of the characters were new, introducing like Gil, introducing Urien and other characters as well, and they all had their own identity. You had the twins, Yun and Yang, who basically are just the same moveset, just applied differently. You had Sean, which I think to this day still has the best Shoryuken of all time. He double Shoryukens at the same time. Like, it's super cool. And I think it was cool to have him have a grappling move. He has like 2 versions of the Tamaki Senpuyaku. Like, he's got like pretty much, he's like his master Ken, you know, he's the jack of all trades, master of none. So, you know, different characters and their identities really showed through. And then it came to us as the players to be able to take that identity and expound on that with player identity. No Ken is the same. No Chun-Li plays the same. No Hugo plays the same. Every character can be played in so many different ways because the mechanics allow that. They allow for each character to be able to be represented, not only by their culture, but by people who enjoy playing those characters. So I think it's really good to just take some time. Street Fighter 3 Third Strike does not have the biggest roster of all time. I believe I'll put the actual number on screen, but it's, I would say, probably less than like 20. And it's such a small cast, but at the same time not big enough to where it's overwhelming and you have to learn everything, but not too small where it becomes boring and the matchups are dull. So coupling that with the mechanics helps the game thrive to this day, where we're still figuring out new tech, figuring out what characters are actually still kind of good versus, you know, the gods of the game and things of that nature. So now that we talked about the characters, we can go straight into the arcade. So the arcade is your simple 11 to 10 run ballot, and it's really fun. Obviously, it's just, you know, fight your opponent. You know, you get your 2 rounds, you move on. You get to fight your little, you know, I think it's a Nissan Altima. I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's just, you know, Honda, Nissan. You're beating up on some type of car, and you know those little mini games. You get a little parry mini game. And yeah, you get to see like the different characters, their stages, music, and you get to experience all of that. So the arcade is obviously basic. This is the arcade edition. This isn't like, you know, they have a practice edition. I mean, practice in this, it's just, you know, put your coins in and play. We later started getting the parry system, training and stuff like that in later iterations of the game. But the arcade to Dreamcast port is basically just bare minimum, you know, practice and arcade run. It's nothing really much to it. So majority of the game is just enjoying it for what it is, a fighting game, and I think that's what makes it good. Even though a lot of people back then in the 1990s were saying that it was boring because it was just bland, and at the time this was what gaming was booming. You had games, especially on like the Dreamcast, you had games like Crazy Taxi, these wild colors, music, and everything was booming, plowing and complowing. So everybody was enjoying like this surge of color and, you know, basically the birth of modern 3D gaming. So it was kind of like dull to see that Street Fighter was still staying within the 2D realm, where a lot of games were trying to move to the 3D realm and trying to broaden their specs out. So it's really interesting to see how now Third Strike is beloved amongst all, and not called mediocre, when back then it was really liked by much and called mediocre. So here's my favorite song out of the soundtrack. I think this song pretty much encapsulates the entirety of what Third Strike has to offer. And here, take a listen. So this is my favorite song out the series. I think this really encapsulates like Third Strike and what it sounds like. Having listened to the entirety of the soundtrack back, forwards, and through, it's definitely fun to hear how, you know, the soundtrack comes together, even throughout the series of going from Third Strike V1 all the way to, you know, V3. So it's really cool to hear, you know, the soundtrack and how the hard work that these developers put into the game. They put a lot of thought, sweat, blood, and tears into it, so it pulls off really well. So that's it. I don't think I really need to go in depth to why you should play this game. I think it's kind of self-explanatory. Get deep into it. Go play it. Go enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with losing. It's a fighting game, not your taxes. You may lose in the fighting game, but at least you don't owe the government a Hadouken. So, enjoy the videos. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. And remember, guys, stay my X's. Peace.